3, 2, 1, go!
Hey
Hello.
everyone, welcome to Mount Schmoedown. How are everyone doing? I am Ben, and with me is Allison and special guest Thomas the Major Harper. How are you guys doing
There he is.
today?
Woohoo. I'm doing great. How are you, Major?
I'm doing great. It's Saturday. It's good. It's not spectacular yet, so I've got some more time to prepare my body and my mind. So it's
Yeah.
good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. This is a very exciting one. I'm super stoked about this. And my there we go. I keep turning on the sound on my other computer, so that's fun. And we're back. Anyway, cool. Well, welcome. We're very excited to have you here. I mean, speaking of Spectacular, how's that prep going now that you're going up against Dimmy?
The heat got turned up. I mean, it was going to be high no matter who came out of that tournament. That's sort of the great thing about Spectacular. But yeah, it's who would have thought at the beginning of the draft that two rookies would be facing each other for a belt that hasn't changed hands at that point since like 2017. I mean, that's wild.
Yeah, no, it really, really is, for sure. And even with that, I think you're talking about with turning up the heat. I think all the rookies, especially coming into the season with Star Wars, there's kind of overall with Schmoedown in general, just a kind of a change in the way that the questions are being written and what's being asked about. So when you up that level of difficulty with like going into who was the fifth, which actor played the fifth soldier or stormtrooper in this particular scene in whatever movie, it's like it's insane that you guys are even able to. I don't know how you study for Star Wars. I'm just to be honest. I don't know how you do it.
Even classic cultures, what was that speeding ticket number on that thing from the last Jedi from that season? It's stuff like that. How do you guys remember those small details like that?
It's a good question because Dragon Con coming into this, I regard it as way more difficult in terms of the question difficulty. But Dragon Con, because of how broad it is a lot like singles. I don't think that there are any singles players out there, whether it's Griffey Nooms, whether it's Dan Murrell, who are spending hours upon hours every single day, because you just can't, like, at a certain point, it's a wasted effort. I think they have the ability to focus on certain things, to brush up in other areas. And otherwise you're relying on sort of that base knowledge of movies that they have. And that applies to teams too. Star Wars with Dragon Con was a lot like that because there was so much to cover. I could read it all, I could watch it all, and I did. But much like singles, there's not time to study it down to the granular level detail sometimes necessary. I mean, famously, they're not doing actor questions there. Star Wars started out very much the opposite. When I came into this season, I was like, it's way easier. I don't know how people aren't beating Alex Dame. Like, I've beaten Alex, like, we're friends, I could say that. So I was like, it needs the right person to come into this league and knock him off, and I'll be the person to do that. Unfortunately, Andrew took care of that before I ever had the chance. But yeah, but it's totally turned the other way. And I probably haven't pulled the curtain back on this, but as great a track record as I've had in Dragon Con, and that would be probably, I mean this like factually, I've probably had a better overall track record across 6 years than anybody that's played in that game. I don't put near the amount of time ahead of a match or ahead of Dragon Con as I do ahead of a Schmoedown match. It's not even close. Now you're reading and you're watching stuff all year long, so it's a little bit different because you got to keep up with new material. But the amount of hours that goes into a single match prep for this is just completely insane. It's completely insane. My world revolves around Star Wars. And when you hear a player like Nikki talk about how you feel guilty if you even put something else on that's not Star Wars, that's true. It's also true if you're watching something Star Wars that's not Schmoedown related. So like if I want to watch Rebels or if I want to watch the the Obi-Wan sizzle reel that came out yesterday, I'm like, oh man, it's not gonna be covered. This is risky. But yeah, so it's just wild that way. And it's only gonna get more like that unless they expand or until another movie comes out and adds to the question pool.
For sure. So getting back into going back into like Dragon Con, can you talk about what brought you to Schmoedown in general? Like, how did you hear about it? How did you submitting for your audition, things like that?
Oh, it was all Alex. Alex and Molly are completely they're to blame for pretty much everything except everything else, and that's Gold Leader's fault. They are to blame for bringing me in and like making me interested about this, for me finding out about the Schmoedown, for getting the questions as difficult as they are. Thanks to both of them for that. No, I found out about it. We see each other every Labor Day at that convention, and I became aware in 2017, 2018 that he started playing in the league, and watched a couple of his matches and was like, this is cool. This is like very different, but I like it a lot. And at the time you had folks like Whitwer and Knapsack, just total legends in the game. And it was just fun to watch. And it was fun to see somebody that I've competed against up on the stage. And flash forward to 2019 at Celebration, I attended my first live event. I was like you, Allison, in New York. I was like total deer in the headlights, didn't know what to expect. And I was just completely sucked in. The crowd was phenomenal there. I didn't know what I had gotten myself into. I had never seen a singles match. I had never seen anything. And it was like falling down the rabbit hole, and had a blast. Immediately messaged him after and was like, you gotta talk to Christian. You got to talk to somebody that can maybe get me a spot. And, it took until this past year to make that work. Alex DM'd me and he was like, hey, wink, wink, submit an audition. I think you've got a shot. This is the chance. The door is opening. So yeah, my wife and I like got up early before our kids were up and shot my audition tape, and here we are.
That's awesome. And then first pick for Kate with the Dead. So that had to be a pretty cool. It's funny too. We were over on Shmomi the Real last night chatting with Gucci, and he had mentioned his, that damn dossier over and over and over again. And he had mentioned having you in said dossier, and that was going to be, he was going to try to snag you, but Kate got to it first, which is how he ended up with taking Newman in the first round.
I was convinced that I was, if I went in the first round, it was only going to be to Gucci. And that was just because, not because of any relationship with Gucci himself, but Barbarian had worked with me beforehand. We had talked, sort of built a rapport and whatnot. And they're a bunch of dastardly evil villains, but that when I compared it to the other relationships that I had, and I only talked to a handful of managers beforehand, that was one that felt like it had traction, and they felt like there was interest there. And then I stupidly, offhandedly made a comment about like, hey, this Gold Leader guy is pretty good. And he was, and I remember I probably had the DM. He's like, who is this guy? Hey, Ryan. He's like, what are you talking about? Who's this Gold Leader guy? And I was like, oh, he's got like kind of a track record. I haven't personally played against him, but I think he's pretty good. If Laura Kelly says, mistook him for me, then that's a pretty good sign. He's like, oh, okay, I'll make note of that. And then here we are. So I laid the bear trap that I would immediately walk into.
That's awesome. I know good old Party Jay in the chat is loving the feud between you and Gold. I think it's fantastic. I love that, like, even without being provoked, it's just, you have just quips just right off the bat, just like everything just leads back to just a quick little like and F Gold Leader on top of it.
Yeah, that's been one of my favorite parts of the season, and I'm a big Office fan, the American version of the show, and so there was this like nonsensical feud between Michael Scott and Toby, the HR guy. Toby wasn't really involved in it and didn't really understand. I feel like that's sort of gold leader. He leans into it, but I've almost assumed the Michael Scott role of just hating his guts and trying to destroy him. But yeah, that's been fun. I think the division has needed stuff like that. Laura brought character and sort of redefined the division, but I think more of that is only a good thing for the division.
It was Nikki in here. Harper would be the type to make a baller move to commission a gold statue of gold leader just to melt it on stage.
If he's lucky, he's not at Celebration, or excuse me, at Spectacular, because I think we would come to blows. Kayfabe or not.
I would love it. That's amazing.
I'm pretty sure Gold Leader would have thrown in a couple of quits, or he would have just, he would have been like a living statue, just standing there smiling while you're interacting with everybody.
Just smile and wave. That's all he can do.
See,
smile and wave.
He has
Stand
that
there
little,
in that gold jacket.
That's right. He's got that little brother energy, and I'm the oldest, and so my little sister was very much like he was, where it's just like, just smile through whatever and laugh through whatever, and it just like it's like being right back home, just like completely pushes the buttons and sets you off. But he does it well.
He sure does.
But that match honestly was very entertaining, because you really weren't just buying into it. You weren't trying to give him an inch. I mean, the moment you had a lead, it's like I almost felt Golden was trying to change his style up, maybe to throw you off before you hit that perfect rounds.
Yeah, I mean that was I didn't walk into that thinking that I would be able to do a perfect 5-rounder, but to do it, I think that in retrospect, I like that was the margin, right? Was 0. And but the good thing is, like, he and I have a rapport where I didn't feel like that going in. That was as relaxed as I've ever played. It was the most fun match that I've ever played, and I think we both played kind of loose. Even he, like, you go back and watch that match, he got nervous after missing that one, but you get to the betting round and we're both like going back and forth stupidly, and he's like, it's 3, sorry, I didn't hit anything on the keyboard, but that's my bet. So that's it was just a fun match.
It's all good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the matches you had with your rookie season. Again, Star Wars is a stacked division. I mean, to come in as a rookie, to go through, both you and Nikki DeMolanta are 2 rookies going into Spectacular where someone's going to have their first loss, which is also insane to think about, that we have 2 rookies, 2 undefeated rookies, and looking at the list of individuals that you beat to kind of get there, like your first match being against Adam Witt, he's
Adam Witt, who played the match of his life and took that match last second because somebody ducked me. I was supposed to play somebody else.
We were hearing all about that.
Yep. And so credit to him. He stepped up. Kaiser in his post match said, had some statements about the dungeon not ducking matches, and like that was absolutely true. So I have a heck of a lot of respect for somebody like that, because he had a week and a half, maybe.
That's why.
I mean, he had been prepping Molly, like I knew that, and I remember talking to Kate about him. She was like, "How do you feel about Witt?" And I was like, "He's dangerous. He's really dangerous." Like, you don't have to watch his other matches to know that he's in the coach mode, and now he's putting on the jersey. So he's got nothing to lose. Like, he comes in and decks me in the face, like. He's playing with house money, so I have a lot of respect for Witt.
Right. I mean,
knowing that, it's insane.
Then followed it up with Eric Whitley, Andreas Cabrera going into sudden death. Like,
I don't want to relive that one. Hey, not
but there's gonna be a lot of people bringing that up.
Yeah, no, Ace is a complete joy, but he is a complete terror to play. And that was probably the most competitive match, I would say. Like the back and forth in round 1, and just the that's my only time going to overtime. But it's funny how that match stands out amongst the rest, because it was just a complete slugfest.
It was. I mean, I still think my favorite match to watch with you was that championship match against Andrew DeMolanta. Like that was
That
just
turned out all right.
I mean, you know, there's just something sitting behind you that you've gotten to carry
Yeah, I
around
don't
with you for the past few months, you know.
Yeah.
Heavy is
Ha- Having won that tournament, how is it watching that second tournament? Not knowing you didn't have to play, but you just got to watch everybody play.
It was a relief.
a relief.
Me sighing after every match and saying, like, I'm glad I wasn't in that one.
Yeah.
It's a grind.
Yeah,
like people
so
don't realize
many-
that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I was gonna say I had the same feelings as you did. So many of those matches you're watching, especially those first rounders, like Nikki and Ross's match. I was just at home going, I'm not playing in this division, but I'm glad I was not in that match.
Yeah. Well, and he's the only player that's really had her the whole time. You know, and we train weekly together. And he had that match. I mean, if it had not been, I say this very confidently, but if it had not been for that 5-pointer, which for my money is the hardest question that's other than Ace's parking violation question, that is the hardest question that's ever been asked in the division. It would have been an all-den spectacular. And, you know, because I have no doubt he would have beaten Damon. He would have beaten Gold Leader as well. And we'd be facing off against each other to just determine how many points the Den was getting. So, yeah, that was a tough match. But that was the whole you watch like Alex's round 2, those A New Hope questions. The final match, it was just round after round where I was sitting there like, I'm okay sitting here playing by myself in front of my computer.
How'd you do with those New Hope questions that Alex Damon had?
I thought they were gettable. I think and he alluded to this and maybe spoke directly to it, I guess, but he got exposed, I think, a little bit. A flank that was open on him got exposed. And to a certain extent, that happened with Gold Leader in the final too. Those casting questions made the difference for Nikki. And you talk about a 4-point swing. I'm sitting here. That wouldn't be here if it weren't for a steal, right? In round 2. And I think you know, Nikki took advantage as well. People forget it. It's one thing for a player to get a question wrong, but it's another thing to be sitting there with the answer ready. Like she has to know those, right? And she picked up both of those very difficult casting questions, deep cast. The one of the two didn't even have a line in the movie. The other person had a single line. And she knew them both without hesitation. Now, I think she had multiple choice on both, but still, you've got to like. There's a lot going on in that moment in those 15 seconds. It seems like it's about 3 seconds when you're in it.
And
Also,
like,
I mean, no, you go ahead, Allison.
I'd say it's like, I mean, yeah, it ups your chances a little bit with multiple choice, especially because you're now down to 3 choices instead of 1. But like you said, there's still a ton of studying and research that has to go in to a question like that, because also, who are those actors to begin with? I have no
if you
idea.
don't know, they all sound the same. Yeah,
Right.
and PJ does a dastardly job of writing those.
I mean, most of those actors, I mean, you either see them on screen for a couple of seconds or they're covered heavily in prosthetic makeup. So that's one thing though this new tournament has shown, the change in adaptability in questions, the challenges. Yeah, Alex did get exposed there with those casting questions, I will admit, because after that first tournament, I knew that this next tournament was either going to be stacked full of casting questions, numbers questions, or a lot of weapons and technology questions, because how many more plot questions can they go through before you get to Spectacular?
Yeah. So, and that's where it's going to go. People talk about the division not being tapped out in questions, and that's absolutely true. But these are the veins that are left untapped. And so this is, you know, I think we've established very soundly that there's a meta for casting, and they haven't even come close to tapping those out.
Yeah.
I think the days of like answering who played Luke Skywalker, those are long gone.
No more Unkar, no more who played Unkar plot.
No, those like
slow and low.
Yeah, those fun little cameo questions are like, you know, 0 pointers at this point. But Yeah. So, and the question is going to be, where do they take it next? Do we get a curveball and a new meta in Spectacular? I mean, is this a bait and switch where we're focusing hard and then they pivot? Quite frankly, I don't know, because there are other untapped areas that I think we've seen peaks of in some of the other matches that they could lean more heavily into.
For sure. And I think the other thing that's been kind of blowing my mind, not just in Star Wars, but you've started noticing it across like singles and teams, is the use of uncredited actors in questions, which I haven't seen. Or when I ask people, again, I came in digital, so I don't know, but like when I have friends that I've met through this that are like, I don't think they've ever asked an uncredited actor question before. But again,
the new trilogy has a lot of them.
Right. And I feel like that's in a vein like where it's almost kind of going with all of these Star Wars questions, because it has to be, as with how many books and whatnot are out there, but it's Star Wars. At the end of the day, it's still Star Wars movie trivia.
Right.
So, at some point it's like, how much deeper can you go? Like, it's just, it's so wild.
I think it's going to fall. I didn't want to interrupt, but I was going to follow up with Allison's, like, I mean, maybe an answer I would think was they may have to take a break a little bit. Instead of tournaments for Star Wars, maybe back to one-on-one matches like they were doing earlier this year, was getting Lacey, John, Nikki, yourself, just getting yourself like your first matches just to warm you up before. Because as far as I'm concerned, if another tournament starts next year, like at the top of February and March, I'm expecting like banging across your head against a brick wall kind of questions from Star Wars.
Well, it's tough too, because the tournament, it can be really fruitful if you're winning, where you string together some matches and stuff. But if you lose, like take Ace, I mean, how crazy is it that he gets one match and that's his season? That's absolutely insane. Somebody as popular and quite frankly as deadly as he is, just gets that one opportunity. But if you're somebody like Winston, you've got a really tough choice between the two of them. So I don't know how that looks, and that has, I think you factor in the questions too. I mean, if you that's another concern as well, like where they go with those. But yeah, I would rather see like a single, maybe a little bit bigger tournament. I know we're going to see sort of a different structure next year, but have some factions represented, have some wild card players that are coming in there to disrupt and break. I mean, like the second tournament's been fun to watch because you see stuff like Alex Damon fall. You see stuff like the Nikki and Gold Leader final where unexpected things happen. So that's what I would do if I had any power.
There's a lot we can definitely speculate on, but even then, just seeing like the best thing about this year was the rise of so many surprising upsets. I mean, seeing Damon seeing Andrew get the championship, defend it twice this year, you beating Andrew, like that I will, going back to that match, that was going to be a historic moment, because either this was going to be Andrew defending the belt for the third time, which only Alex Damon has done. And then it would have been you defeating it, which would have made it the second time this year we will see the Star Wars belt change hands. And the fact that we're going to Spectacular, I think is another historic precedent, because it's going to be your first defense, but also if Nikki beats you, that's going to be this year 3 times we've seen that Star Wars belt change hands. I mean, just seeing how much is going to Spectacular already, not just with singles and teams, but the fact that Star Wars has experienced the most change this year, and honestly, it's personally, to me, it's kind of top seed last year, where it was that tournament, the rise of upset city with Ace Cabrera, and then just see this season with you and all the new rookies coming in.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how very rapidly, and I'm going to do my level best at Spectacular to make sure that this doesn't happen, but this belt is becoming like the Inner Geekdom belt, where it's like a hot potato. But you're right. I mean, Spectacular, like how crazy is it that history is made either way? Either a rookie defends this belt for the first time in history, or a woman raises it for the first time in history, and is only the second player to go 5-0 in the division, again in her rookie season. So that's kind of a win-win for Christian and for the league, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
There's this good comment I see here from Egglord about the expectations between Star Wars and IG. I thought that's a good observation that was made. Yeah, that one. That's a good observation to be made of both divisions because with Star Wars, because it's finite, but then with IG this year on how many new films and new categories were introduced, but yet we were still seeing only finite number of players in both in IG tournament in both tournaments. So it was kind of I won't say heartbreaking, but it is a downside to see, especially with the number of people that were drafted this year, like 12 to a faction. Yeah. It was definitely a 50-50 on both sides.
Well, and I think managers went in and drafted with the expectation that it would be a 16-team tournament, or excuse me, a 16 player tournament. And what ended up happening is we bring Ross on as Lacey becomes unavailable with this great life change that she has, and that doesn't materialize in the fall for multiple reasons for us, but. I really I draw the comparison. One of the best things about the FCL this year is that players weren't done if they took a loss or a close match or something. You got to see folks like the Adams brothers come back. You got to see these storylines exist and persist in spite of what the records were, and players continue to get matches and stay relevant in front of the screen. And we didn't see a lot of that in Star Wars. That's a bummer to me because folks like John Hoey, folks like Lacey, Eric Whiteley, I want more as both a competitor and a fan. I think the league is better with more of them on screen.
Yeah, in mentioning the FCL, the beauty of that, even if they did lose one match and come back, you also get to see them stretch themselves across in different divisions. Exactly. One of my favorite people to see was Elena Jordan. I mean, just seeing her just go back and forth. I mean, singles, IG, and Star Wars, just having her just put her personality out there. Yes, all of those puns.
All the puns.
Even with this season, I was definitely looking forward to see more of Sean Sullivan, because after that loss against Pace, I'm like, okay, he's going to pop up again. But, of course, like with most other people, scheduling fell apart. And, of course, with Joseph Scrimshaw, I really, really was like one of the few people hoping to see him earlier this year. But, life happens and you can't do anything about it. But even then, I do like the fact that with hopefully next year with some changes, they can adapt a little bit of the FCL, and we do now FCL, and we do more fun matches, or even more exhibition matches with players thrown out, so everyone gets a chance.
I hope at a minimum the Star Wars division stretches its legs in the FCL. They continue to amp up the difficulty, and you see some folks a little bit more that are in a stocked up, plussed up division at that level, or I should say not at that level, in that division, or excuse me, in that league, because they're not doing it. It's not going to be a developmental league anymore. So
it's literally its own league.
It's just going to see, you're just going to see a separate space, which is really cool for Star Wars. So I mean, I think the other thing that's been fun as well is seeing the growth of folks that I didn't know when I came into the league. I've gotten close with people that I literally fanboyed out. I remember in 2019, Scrimshaw was at Dragon Con to do panels and stuff. He was an official guest, and I was like, "This is my chance." I saw him sitting in for the finals when it's just 10 folks up on stage, and I was like, he's gonna watch me compete here. He's gonna be impressed. I'll impress a guy that I've been a fan of for a while now, and he's gonna go back and report to Christian. This will be my in. And then I lost to Damon that year.
Oh no!
on a sudden death question about the Mos Eisley Cantina, and I was like, oh no! It was like watching a sandcastle get hit by a wave. Then
how Gold Leader felt with his misspelling on his one question.
Yeah, it was like an anvil on the head for him. But no, I'm kidding. So it's been fun to sort of transition, because I'd like to think that there's a certain sort of cluster of rookies in the league that have really made an effort to stay connected in with the fan community. I am proud to count myself as one of those folks because it's just, I will never lose those roots. I just remember very much wanting to compete and being very appreciative when the door opened for me. And, I think it's been cool to get that sort of connection or just meet some of these folks that previously I had only seen from the stands, so to speak.
So, if you don't mind me asking, stepping away from Schmoedown for a second, I am curious. What got you into Star Wars, if you don't mind me asking?
So it's awesome, which is no, I'm just kidding. It is awesome. My dad was an art teacher, public school teacher, taught art, and he had a very small room in our house that was his studio. So he had a drawing table and stuff in there, but it was just packed with comics and toys. Just like Boba Fett up on the shelf and so I would go in there and I had no clue what these things were. And he's like, one day he busts out like a bootleg VHS that he had recorded off of, I think it was TBS had the rights to Empire and Jedi, but it was Return of the Jedi. So I saw everything completely out of order. So he pops it in and I watched Return of the Jedi and I was like, bam, like hooked. And so, yeah, it's totally my dad's fault. I've tried to do that with my kids, and my 3-year-old is like, Daddy, I don't like Star Wars.
Oh,
That's like
Oh,
my
no.
nieces. My nieces said the same thing. I showed them Attack
Right
of
in
the
the heart.
Clones. My nieces watch me in the middle. My nieces intrude me when I'm watching them, and I've Attack the Clones in the background. And I just remember my at the time 4-year-old niece saying, "Uncle, can you turn that off? It's too loud, and I don't like it."
Loud.
Luckily, you have 2 of them now, right? So there's always hope with the second one.
Maybe, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'll pit them against each other. The first
That's
to like Star
exactly-
Wars will be my favorite. But no,
Right. That's exactly how that works.
another question I have. Do you have a favorite of the Star Wars movie? Answer that. Yeah.
yeah, I grew up and I had a really powerful connection with Jedi. I think probably because of the battle scene at the end was just like cool to a kid. I think as an adult, I've gravitated a little bit more toward Empire, but I always had that I also have a strong connection to the prequels just because I was like, those hit for me when I was in like middle school Revenge of the Sith came out when I was in college, but for Phantom Menace and for Attack, those came out it kind of like shitty times in my life when I was getting bullied and stuff, and it was just nice to have Star Wars. Had always been a refuge for me. It was nice to have Star Wars in the theater to be able to have something like that to look forward to, because it was like, I'd go to school and be like, this sucks, like I don't want to do this, but having something like that to look like, okay, if I can only make it to May, then I've got the next chapter of this saga to look forward to. So that'll always have a special place for me, and I will forever defend the prequels because of sort of what it meant to me growing up.
Same here. I'm a staunch defender of the prequel.
I've
Even
become,
Attack of the Clones.
I've become a prequel believer for sure after being on Disney Plus. And
My
watching it.
people.
I think I honestly thought my husband might have almost broke off our engagement when I made a comment. I was like, I don't think I like the prequels. He was like, you couldn't have said that 4 years ago when we had first started dating.
Need to reevaluate things.
So, but we're okay now. We've worked through it.
That's
So
good.
here, I'm gonna come in with a tough one then. Kind of like the Shag, Marry, Kill. We're gonna go with a Rent, Buy, Forget, with the original trilogy, prequels, and then the
New trilogy.
the new trilogy.
Oh no.
Duh.
Rent, Buy, and Forget. Oh, this is like a dagger to my own heart. Let's see here.
Is there an option C on there where you can just rent and buy and then forget you were asked the question?
Well, rent and never return it, and then you buy it because they charge you for it.
There you go.
Or you can forget one trilogy so you can rent it and then upload it and then you buy it.
bootleg, and bootleg. No, I would probably go buy the original trilogy. Just nostalgia is such a powerful thing there. Rent and probably keep the prequel trilogy and then forget the sequel trilogy. I am staunchly against ranking the movies. I view things through a different lens. It's sort of like I don't have favorites. It's more like, what do I gravitate more toward? What am I more likely to just pull up on my phone if I've got a few minutes as I'm waiting? So,
or depending on your mood or a certain day, which one you have on you just put on, and then all of a sudden it just changes you. Because that's the same here. My opinions of everything always changes every time I keep putting it either on Disney Plus or I grab the physical copy of the trilogies I have. The only thing that never changed is how the sequel trilogy tends to give me my ups and downs. Like, oh, I'm into it, and then I'm just sitting there like, can I just grab my phone and just anything else? But I do love that with most of these competitors, and I do remember after your that one comment I know in your match in Nightly, after he had unfortunately lost to you, he did say that the one thing he loved about these tournaments, or at least being in the Schmoedown, was that meeting so many other Star Wars fans and competitors like you, like Marie, that brought him a new appreciation of Star Wars in general. And definitely for me, as someone who has been watching the Schmoedown during the early inception of the Star Wars division, getting to be introduced to so many competitors talking about how much they love Star Wars or showing how quickly they can answer a question, where to me I'm like, what? I'm sorry, what? It's really fantastic. It always makes me come back to this franchise almost every month, honestly, when I want to watch along.
It's been fun. I think the thing that I've enjoyed the most, especially with like Lacey and Ross, because we train so much together, is you realize that there are people that are like just as like damaged up here as you are, that like look at these movies and they're like, I wonder what this weird little thing is. And so Ross and I have like an ongoing text chain where it's just like pictures of weird things that we've finally been able to identify that have bugged us, and we're like nerding out over it, like, oh man, you finally figured that out. I had been wondering about that forever. So having a collection of people like that is good. You learn that you're not on this lonely island by yourself, obsessed with being able to answer questions about the movies.
Well, I know we only have you for just a little bit longer, but I have to ask, with kind of getting back in the showdown, what would you say has been your favorite win of your season so far, other than your championship, obviously?
Hey, John.
Hey, John.
Hey, how are you? Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you. Hey, good
Good
to
seeing
see
you
you
too, man.
So yeah, so other than getting that belt, which has been, I guess, your favorite match to have played in?
It's got to be Gold Leader. It's got to be Gold Leader. He's he might as well just like shave off the beard and leave, like grow the mustache like like a villain from the 1800s, where he's going to tie you to the train tracks. But that was just a fun match. He's as painful as it is to admit, he is very, very good. But he approaches it with just a really refreshing attitude, like his approach to the trivia. He's annoying as all get out, but no, I'm just kidding. But that was a favorite. Also, because it was my first 5-rounder, and it's like a totally different world. I felt like we were both logging on and being like, well, let's dive into this shark pit together.
Awesome.
That is, and honestly, looking at the notes I have, that is pretty much that's the one match out of all before you played Demolanta, is where that's your only match where you went 100% perfect. I'm like perfect game, honestly. Like you got the highest percentage in each round.
Yeah, I didn't have to. So I went perfect against Whiteley, but didn't have to answer my 5, and I checked down once against Wit and got that one right. So it was not a. I guess if you're it was a no hitter, not a perfect game if we're bringing it back to baseball.
Yeah.
But yeah, that felt really good, and it's to do it and then in retrospect, because I was sitting there for the 5-pointer and I'm like, this is a hell of a I didn't know, like, not hearing the question asked yet. I'm processing through my brain, and I'm like, if I hit this, I'll win, obviously, but I'll also have not missed a question this entire match. Like, that's kind of cool. And then it kind of made me really, really nervous in the moment. And I'm like, oh God, like, let's see what this question is first before I get excited.
That's awesome. Well, I know you gotta sneak on out of here. Harper, is there anything else you got
Yeah,
going on you want to share with us?
If you want to talk, I can stay for a couple more minutes. We haven't talked Spectacular a whole
We
lot,
have
but if you want
not.
to talk that match, yeah, we can talk that.
What are you doing to get yourself prepped for that? I mean, Dimmy has come in. It's crazy. She wasn't even live drafted, and she's just come in and just started wrecking fools. I mean, left and right.
Yeah, she's been fun to watch, and it's kind of poetic that they play they both knock Damon out, and then I get to play both of them before the season is out. It's sort of like this weird like dyad energy to steal a little bit from Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't rooting for Gold Leader, because I just had thoughts in my head about what that match might look like and sort of the antics leading up to it. But she took care of him. I mean, I remember I DM'd with him after the match, and he was just sort of like, she got me. Like, she got me, and I didn't have it. And so, it was a recognition that she's got some serious strengths in areas where traditionally Star Wars players have had weaknesses. And, it's been on me. I've been out of, I haven't been in match play since September, I guess, was the championship match.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And so that's about, you're not, on one hand, a tournament is grueling. Like I guarantee you, on some level, she's exhausted right now. It is mentally tough to get match ready. And then you win the match, and you don't know exactly, you have another match, but you don't know exactly when it's going to be. It could be, you have to prep as if it's going to be tomorrow, right, but it could be a week. It could be 2 weeks. I'm thinking back to my tournament schedule in the spring, and I had as little as a week and a half, and as great as almost a month between recordings, which is that varies a lot. What you do day to day, if you only have a week, is a heck of a lot different than what you have to do to keep the cement solid for a month. And so she's facing down the ladder now. The advantage is she knows when we're playing and all that. She can backwards plan, but it's tiresome. It drains you. It's tiresome. You go through this weird thing where everything for the match, and then you keep studying, and it's like your brain is forgetting stuff that you know. Yeah, maybe I'm the only one that's like this.
No, I mean, I feel like you can see that across divisions with the tournaments itself. Like, questions that people would be. I mean, I can't really speak to Star Wars because I don't know shit about Star Wars. I just I like watching it. I'm not. I can't pull the number of the X-wing that whoever that's not happening. But like
Star Wars is very complex.
Season in general, you can tell it's really, so why, even like if we go into the English division. Yeah, well, like you look at Merle and Janine, the questions that Merle had yesterday with his
three-pointer.
His three-pointer, he knew. It's just one of those things, like knowing Dan, that's a question he would have gotten any other day of the week without even thinking about it. So I can't even imagine what you'd have to go through with a Star Wars tournament and leading up to it, and the shit, especially with how deep cuts they're asking things now, how far it's gone.
Yeah, it's caused me to have to change. I've had to change my prep during the tournament, which is crazy. I have the advantage of not having to be under the gun the entire time. I will just like go from play along to play along, and that's an easy spot to be in. But I've been really comfortable with the way that I've played along. I don't have any problem saying I would not have lost to her in any of those matches. And I play as I would if I were recording. I don't read the questions off the screen. I play as if I'm on the StreamYard with them. So I'm comfortable with where I am. That doesn't mean I'm not continuing to expand and try to close gaps in armor that I have, because I certainly have them like anybody else. But I think the other thing that's going to be a wild card for both of us, A, is the buzzers, but B, is going to be just a live event. Allison, you saw this in New York. There was talk about the effect of both of them having long days, both Horowitz and Newman, I should say. Spectacular will be very different because it's a full day. I mean, I think our call time is pretty early in the morning, and you've got the expo, we're interacting. It's not like at home where you're like, okay, take the kids, I'm gonna prep up for the next all day today, get the wheel and just you can't do that. And then you're in front of a crowd, and I don't know, I know she's got some experience on stage, but I don't know what that does to you, if that amplifies nerves, if that focuses you up. I know how I'm going to be. And I'm going to relish the crowd and the lights. It's going to be a lot different than just sitting there in silence in front of a StreamYard playing. But
I mean, I've been in the Globe Theater before. I've been in the Globe Theater when they did the free for all. So it's going to be, to give you a heads up, it is going to be a big crowd in there. So it's not. I mean, I was not there in New York, but I do know when there's live shows, when they want to fill that audience, they fill it to where they want to make it feel like you are like you're at an auditorium, or if you're at an orchestra house and you're just seeing like nothing from left to right, from front to back, a sea of faces just staring at you. I know it adds into the pressure of that moment, but honestly, I think because the fact is there's going to be none of the fans, most of these people are going to interact with some during the expo. It's going to go from, I think personally, it's going to go from nerves to feeling almost at home because people are going to be rooting for you and cheering you on.
Yeah, I've got some surprises up my sleeve that I will not display here. One of the surprises was just delivered to my house today, so I'm very excited to integrate it. But yeah, I look forward to that because it's just, Christian talks about the StreamYard and like the digital matches, and it really is like you're sitting there in silence. I play in sweatpants, like you're just like, there's no feedback. There's nothing from the crowd. It's just, and then the match is over, and you're just like, well, okay,
all done.
Yeah,
I have to say, I think I was talking with Quiz Show and a couple of other people that I was up there hanging with in New York, and when we were chatting, I think we both literally said, and this is why I think you're going to be fine at this live event and in front of a crowd, is there was literally not a single person having more fun at that live event than you were, just walking around, taking pictures, carrying the belt. Like you're probably the happiest person, and like just thriving with it. And I think
why would you not? Yeah, why would you not?
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's just, I was like looking around. I'm like, I feel like there's no one here happier, other than when Griffin Newman, got to give Horowitz Pixar and throw on that jacket, which was fantastic.
Or when he was carried to the stage by Barbarian. I gotta say.
That was great.
He could not have been, to quote a Star Wars player, you would not have gotten a deeper sleep than being in the lap of the Barbarian.
Absolutely. So I think that
paraphrase, not quote, paraphrase.
I think coming with the live event, you're gonna be able to crush it, at least, because just from how it seemed, at least in New York while you were walking around. I'm super stoked for you, and just
thanks.
Get to practicing with that buzzer. I feel like that's all I can say to people, just from what I've seen with people going in that haven't had to do a buzzer round. It's like, I would just sit at home with like a tap light and just see if I
tap light and a stopwatch as well. Like someone asks, have someone make sure they time you. So they answer the question and then 0.0007.
I shaved off 10/100ths of a second.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's about. I'll probably have to duck out here in a minute. But yeah, that's going to be a wild card. But it's just going to be a really fun time, and the benefit of having somebody like her as an opponent is we're going to play the match. If she beats me, she'll have beaten me fair and square. And you can't walk away from an opponent like that and be anything but happy for them for what they've done. Certainly, if I win the match, and that's what I intend to do, I'll be overjoyed. But this is one of those rare matches where, win or lose, there's gonna be no sour feelings, which is great.
And you got I mean, if on top of that, I think this is one of those matches that'll definitely determine a Rookie of the Year.
Sure, yeah.
Superlative at the end for sure.
I mean,
although I don't know, Griffey Newman keeps winning everything. He needs to lose a match here and at least At least make it a horse race for us.
Well, I think the bigger I think one of the bigger horse races is going to be for the Star Wars Player of the Year, because it's between, I know there's you, both the Dimalantas. I'll even say Gold Leader is thrown up there. Laura Kelly.
Don't include him.
Unfortunately, the fact he's been to double Star Wars tournament finals, you can't overlook him, just like you can with that full jacket.
So frustrating. Well, Harper, do you have anything else that you want to share with us, plug, put out there for the rest of the world to?
Yeah, sure. I'm that's my Twitter handle there, as creative as it is, at Thomas L. I'm normally screaming on Twitter about Y Wings, so you can find me there. I will be doing a legal podcast when Book of Boba Fett launches at the end of December. The group called the Legal Geeks, so at the Legal Geeks, we'll be doing an episode to cover each episode and diving into like legal issues. So we do everything from, child custody issues. I don't expect any of those in Boba Fett, but like, who's the lawful owner of the Millennium Falcon? Like, can Boba Fett just come in and assume the throne? Is he guilty of murder for killing Bib Fortuna when he came in? Just like unpacking weird nuances like that. So check them out. I write and I podcast for them. The last one that I did was an episode by episode breakdown of Bad Batch, which was fun. Some of those
That's
issues.
cool.
I'm pretty sure some of those child legal laws could have been thrown in there for Bad Batch and for The Mandalorian.
Yeah, maybe longer.
Little child endangerment every episode for Omega.
Every episode.
But yeah, thanks so much for having me on, though. This was a blast.
We're so happy you were able to come on, and good luck to you with it's Spectacular for sure.
Yeah. Thanks. Talk to y'all soon. Take
All
care.
Hey, take care. Have a good one.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Anything
great.
else you guys want to bring up?
Well, I mean, I don't know about bring up, but I did. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to bring this up when Thomas was on here, but just going over his matches and just taking notes of how many points he got in each match and each round, and then tallying all that stuff up. Outside of his perfect game against Gold Leader and the no-hitter against Wit, he pretty much scored between the 90 and 100 percentile of points. I mean, seriously, breaking it all down, he clearly when it comes to stats, and then you factor in his matches Dimalanta, he practically has the highest percentage of points, like within the top 5 of Star Wars players this year. Honestly, he would crack like the top 3.
Yeah.
Easily.
Good. You have to be so good in that division. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
John, you want to say anything, my man?
Here's the thing. I wanted to actually ask him something about the Dragon Con thing, about the differences between going into that and that. But as far as his matches go, he's like the Terminator when it comes down to the Star Wars matches, especially with Gold Leader. He reminds me of Wario. Basically, if you put that little Italian hat on him and everything, he looks just like Wario. But the two of them, there's usually when you see the Finstock exchange, and then there's a lot of smack talking and there's a lot of rivalry. With them two, they actually have an understanding with each other, to the point where they both understand each other. They've built a friendship. They have the same geekdoms and everything else too, with the same fandom of Star Wars, and they have the same level of respect for Star Wars and the same level of respect for them as well. So that's something that I really liked about it. It wasn't like a beef war like we normally see with the Finstock exchange. It's more of, okay, we both love this thing so much. Our passion is Star Wars. We're competing against each other, but we still have that same respect. It's kind of like seeing Drago from Rocky and everything, kind of having that respect, or Johnny Lawrence from the Karate Kid at the end of the Karate Kid movie, not in the Cobra Kai series, but it has that little, like, you know what, you're okay. You get my respect. So that's what I got out of the Harper, out of that match and everything with Gold Leader. And, I also watched some of his other matches too, and I have to say I'm really impressed with Thomas. He's an excellent player all the way around when it comes down to Star Wars. I love Star Wars just as much as the next person. I can't do what he does.
No.
No. It's just so complex when it comes down to the Star Wars energy.
I mean, the fact that Thomas's year has shown why he is definitely one of the, just like himself, just like Griffin Newman, and I will say just like Amaru, why those three were drafted earlier on in the first round, because you saw the tear that they made. And as much, and I will say amongst Rookie of the Year, I do believe that some people are going to be overlooking Amaru because because of his little strong matches. Even though he was undefeated when he got to Mike, he may not captured the belt, but I'll still say his road there was impressive because of, and including the championship matches also. So when it comes to Rookie of the Year, I know there's going to be a bevy of choices, and recency bias is going to be put into effect. But I am going to be like one of the few who's going to take a step outside and look at some of the rookies and their records and then their matches to really factor it in, honestly, because this is going to
Well,
be.
it's like, and I think that's what you kind of have to do with it. I think, to be honest, I think Rookie of the Year is going to end up being a rookie that has a belt. So whether that is Harper after Spectacular, whether that's Griffin if Griffin Newman comes in and gets 2 belts after Spectacular, he's Player of the Year for sure.
Yeah, it's locked.
I mean,
he's locked for so many awards.
That literally puts him at, if he goes into if he beats Bibbs and then beats either Janine or Barbarian, that puts him at 9, 10. That puts him at 11-0. His rookie or 10-0 is right there, and then he goes into Spectacular, beats Marisol. He's 11-0.
Yeah,
like that's insane, right?
Yeah,
and then
that is literally a mountain that you really cannot overlook when it comes to the other rookies. It's kind of like,
if he ends up winning teams, if they beat Shazam, they go King Khan is then 4-0. So like, you got it. That's when you can really start counting. Honestly, Gucci as a Manager of the Year and Griffin as a Player of the Year, not just necessarily Rookie of the Year, but Player of the Year for sure.
an incredible player. There's really a lot, and I will be honest, especially now that we're winding down with the number of matches, there's going to be so much focus and attention on them. And just like how it was with this tournament, because there was only a small number of matches, I liked how Thomas was in Andrew's position now. He was just looking at the players and judging match by match. He even though played free along with it, but you can tell that those matches that we saw. Nikki and Arsenal. We had Scrimshaw and Gold Leader. Even Molly and Alex playing against each other. Those were matches where you're just like, these had gone another way. Just like what he said with Ross. If Ross had answered that 5-pointer, Nikki would not have had that run. It would have been Ross going past Gold Leader. So there's so much. Just so much.
Right.
For sure.
Real quick before we get out of here. Are we all in agreement? Do we think Harper is going to meet Nikki next week at Spectacular?
I'm on the fence. I'm over 60 that Harper will win. It's just going to determine what the round 2, 3, and 4 are going to be like, especially the buzzers.
I think the buzzer. I think buzzer, and we say this all the time, but I really think with them both being in their first live, and not just a live 3-rounder, it's a live championship match. So you have the added pressure audience, of the, and I think honestly, I think that buzzer is so damn intimidating. Like, I'm terrified of the buzzer. Like, I'm terrified that I would just buzz it, not even hearing the question, because you just have to, and then you lose all your points. Like, because you just get so I don't do well under pressure. Like, I'm getting itchy, like, thinking about all the buzzer rounds that's going to be happening at Spectacular, because that's all it is. But I think, and it's going to kind of come down to that it always, I think round 1, they're both going to be hotted. I think they're going to, go, if not perfect, near. I think they'll probably go pretty near perfect based off of the knowledge that the two of them have.
I think it'll be a close round, honestly.
100%. I could see them, again, depending on how that wheel spins, if they keep, opponent's choice and spinner's choice off the wheel and, get a good slice. Nikki DeMolanta is probably going to get Force Awakens again, because that's what she keeps getting with everything she spins right now.
I'm pretty sure the crowd will have a Force Awakens chance when Nikki gets to the wheel. They'll be clapping.
Yeah.
Force Awakens.
So, I think, your wheel round where you get a bunch, because you got the steals, right? And then I think that buzzer round are going to be the big ones to see who ends up coming down with it. I feel like Harper, just because of the amount of time he's had to prepare, has a better shot, but it would be really fucking cool to have the first female Star Wars champion. Like really cool. That would, I mean,
Yeah, that's why that's why this year with Star Wars just like so much history has been made in this division that many people were thinking should have been retired like before season 7, before the digital era. And to see that you coming in, Allison, in this digital era, seeing Star Wars be given new life is exactly one of the reasons why I love the digital. That's why I love the digital format of last year and this year, because so many new players and certain divisions are being given new life. That it's a historic part of the Schmoedown.
People said
Definitely.
where can these Star Wars questions go, and PJ said hold my beer. It's like he said fuck around and find out. I'll show you where these Star Wars questions can go.
So who do you have? Nikki or Thomas?
I'm gonna go with Thomas, to be honest with you, just because of the fact that he hasn't cracked under pressure or anything like that. If he misses a question, he just wipes it off and everything, and goes about the next question like we've seen him do. And especially when he answered the mixed bag stuff and things like that too. I think that he can do this all the way. I think this is him. I think this is. I have Thomas no matter what. He's definitely going to be great.
Yeah, me too. I think I have Thomas too. But you know what? It's one of those matches where I won't be mad either way.
Nope, not at all. I think either way, it's gonna be a really good outcome. So before we wrap up, Ryan, you got anything we can find you?
You guys can go on ahead and find me on Movie Lovers Unite on Facebook underneath the same brand name on Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite on Facebook and on Instagram and on Pinterest as well. Of course, if you guys want to go on ahead, follow me underneath Movie Lovers Unit on Twitter as well, and also to Movie Lovers Unit 0 on TikTok as well. I do some promotional stuff over there. Also, too, last night we just dropped our review of American Psycho, so we did an American Psycho review, so go ahead and check that out. You can get that wherever you guys get your podcast from. Of course, you can also catch it again on YouTube as well. Then, of course, guys, go on ahead. If you guys want to, go on ahead and donate to our page. How do you do that? You just go on ahead and go to GoFundMe.com/Movie Lovers Podcast. Drop $5 to $10 over there. But a simple like, simple subscribe goes a long way. Then, of course, you guys can go on ahead. We are actually doing a donation to Children's of St. Jude's Children's Hospital with Two Blur Girls podcast. All proceeds go over to the Children's of St. Jude's for getting a Sensi. So go ahead and get yourself a Sensi. All proceeds go over to the Children's of St. Jude's Hospital. And we raised so far $798 with that fundraiser, and I'm just so proud that we were able to do that. Then, of course, if you want to reach out to me and want to be on the show, all you have to do is just go on ahead, email me at movielovesunite@gmail.com, and that's everywhere that you guys can go ahead and follow me at. So take it away, Ryan.
Yep.
Oh no, it's perfect. Coffee shop I'm in has been blasting Taylor Swift all day. So your little promotion was at the best part. But I will say, I mean, Ben can cover on the Schmoedown part, but mainly you find me. I have a wrestling podcast I co-host with First Class League competitor James Shimo. It's called Wrestling Ramblings and Rages Podcast. We just released a new episode giving our predictions on the AEW pay-per-view Full Gear. That's going to be airing tonight, and then we're going to have ourselves a review of that pay-per-view hopefully on Sunday or by next week. And then we also do live watch-alongs and reactions to many content up there on James Shimo's channel, Shimonaire Productions, where we have done watch-alongs to The Mandalorian, The Animaniacs, The Bad Batch. We're gonna continue. We're gonna finish up our watch-alongs on What If, and then we're gonna start soon on The Witcher, Hawkeye, and many more series. Go and check them out.
Awesome. And for me, you can find me on Twitter at Allison Salamoni. Right there. There it is. I here every Saturday for Mount Schmoedown on a weekly basis, 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern, and any other place that people want me to come hang. I was hanging out on Schmo Me the Real last night for a few hours. That was a great time. Yeah, and then tonight, I think I'm forcing myself over on Flick and Reel for Jessie Swift's fundraiser. I'm pretty sure I did. I messaged Sean Wingley and I said, hey, let me come on. So this is how I'm just going around, just forcing my way into people's lives. That's how we roll. Yeah.
Sometimes that's the best way to do it, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, you want to become a staple of this community. You gotta get yourself out there.
Yeah.
For sure. How about you, Ben?
And you guys can find me at my Twitter at Ben_Rainer. You can find me all over this channel on Recapping the Path, Shooting the Breeze, Get Ready, Mount Schmoedown, and anything else they need me on, I'm on, and I think that's it. Yes, next week we have another fun one for you with this show, but I'll wait until a few days to announce. We'll wait for a few days to announce it. But until then, there's everyone at Mount Schmoedown. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
May the force be with you all.
Agree with you.